Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Kimberly Scott and this is my friend Ann. We are here today to do my very first industry celebrities podcast live. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me, Ann.
I'm excited.
I'm too. So we'll be asking Ann some questions about herself. And while we do that, you please feel free to leave questions below and definitely let us know where you're watching from. We want to know. But now that that's all the way, let's jump into our questions.
Jump in.
So first off, thank you so much for doing this with me.
I'm excited. I love to do these things
with
you.
You're so good at them. You make me feel so calm.
Thank you. Good.
So tell, well, first off, I have to publicly thank you for being the one of the very first people that I met in the industry and taking me to lunch with Mr. Fred Cheney from Lincoln, who then made Scott Wilder meet with me. So,
See?
Yeah.
It pays to have connections.
Yes, yeah, it does. So I have to thank you again for that. But tell people a little bit about, give you background, where you're from, and what industry you're in.
All right. I was born and raised in McKinney, Texas, about 30 minutes from where I am right this very minute, yes. And I have been in multifamily housing for 51 years.
The apartment business?
Seriously.
Yeah.
I have to tell you all a really quick, cute story. I always talk about when you sit down by somebody on the airplane and you don't talk much, but the drink cart comes out. You say, are you traveling on business? Or you headed home? Whatever. And invariably one or the other says, what do you do? So people would ask me, and I used to say, I'm in multifamily housing, and they'd say, what's that? And I would say, the apartment industry. And they'd go, let me ask you about my daughter's lease. My daughter is the worst landlord in New York. So I ended up working the whole flight. So you know what I do now?
Put in your earbuds?
No, I tell them I'm a sex therapist. Makes my flight a lot more fun.
Do they talk to you?
Oh, yes, of course. Oh, of course. I just fake it and have the best time.
It's like, I might have to get back to you in a couple of months, but hey.
Right.
That's a really good one.
What else do you want to know about me, Miss Kimberly?
Well, so you 51 years.
Yes.
How'd you get your start?
I was recently divorced, single mom. Husband number I won't tell you. And I was working retail, which I didn't care for, but it was something to do, whatever. And I had done some recruiting when Mary Kay first started her company. I joined and did some recruiting, and so I look in the newspaper one day. I'd never looked for a job in the paper before, and there was an ad that said personnel recruiters for multifamily apartment developer, and I thought, I could do that. And I pressed myself down there for my interview, and they gave me the job. Thank you, Mr. I.C. Deal Company. He was building swinging singles apartments back in 1968.
Wow.
It was legal then.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
We served beer by the pool 24/7.
Ah.
Yeah. Wet t-shirt contest with the residents. So it was a fun time to start in the industry. We actually worked in hot pants and go-go boots.
Oh, yes. I remember some of those stories. Yes.
Yes, long ago.
Where you could actually smoke in the office, right?
Oh yeah, everybody smoked in there. Not me, I didn't smoke, but everybody else was smoking in the office.
And now everybody is smoking in the closet.
Yeah, right.
Or they go outside.
That's right. Or my friend built a gazebo way out on his property and titled it the Butt Hut, so they're smoking out there. So,
hey, that's a way to
So it was a great start, and I have to just tell you, very quickly, we were recruiting people, and I'm interviewing, and we're going through the hiring process. And back then we called it the personnel department, and now you know it today as HR. Right. And I walked into my boss about 6 months later, and I said, we're hiring some really good people. But when I go out and visit the properties, they're like fumbling around. They don't know what they're doing. Sound familiar? Yeah. And I said, they really need some training. He said, okay, you do that. And I'm like, deer in the headlights, right? But that's how I started. Just common sense going through. I mean, I was visiting a property one day, and the phone rang, and the manager said, good morning, Happy Hills, whatever. He said, no, we don't have any one bedrooms. Thank you, click. And I said, I wonder when they were moving. Do you have anything coming up on the 1st? She said, yes. I said, maybe we should start asking people when they need it. That's how far back I go.
And now they go online.
Yeah, everything's
and
there.
reserved in
Everything's
advance.
there. So,
wow. So that could be a whole other podcast of all the things that you used to do back in the day.
Yes, it could. Yeah.
And the things that they don't do now for whatever.
Yeah. Like kegs of beer by the pool. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yes,
so,
kegs of beer by the pool. Yes.
So,
probably not the best. That's a huge, not just HR issue. There's a whole lot of other issues with that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon, my boyfriend, actually read the pool do's and don'ts, and it was the first time I'd ever seen something that said, "Don't get in the water with open wounds."
Yeah.
Which I was like, well, isn't that common sense?
Yeah. But that's city health laws.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, I get
city
it.
Health laws.
Yeah. But I had never seen that before. I'd seen "Don't drink here," and we're still drinking, but
please don't pee in the pool.
Please don't pee in the pool. That's probably
you got it.
That should be the biggest, start up there. So you started there and on site, and
no, I started actually in the HR department.
Oh, in the HR department. Okay.
And I said I need to work a few weekends to see what they're doing if I'm going to hire people to do this. So that's here I am, 51 years later. Right.
But how did you go from, on the management side of it to speaking and everything else you do now?
Quick history. I worked for Mr. Deal for over a year. He sold the properties to WM Capital out of New York, who at that time owned the Empire State Building.
Okay.
So they hired 2 people from the entire company besides the on-site people, me and an accounting person.
Okay.
And so all of a sudden I'm like, the service techs are reporting to me, and I'm getting their helping them order their stuff for their. And the next thing I know, I'm also training and hiring the staff again. And I'm like, so I worked. The WM Capital kept the property about another year and turned them over to Henry S. Miller Company to manage until they were brokering them. They were going to sell all of them. They offered me a job. So I'm same properties, rolling along, third company. And I had an idea, and Don Shine was president of the Apartment Association at the time, which was pretty new, you know.
Yeah.
And he was not only president of the association, he was the big guy at Lincoln Property Company. So I called him and went over and met with him, and I said, I think our apartment association needs to have training programs. Now this shows you how long ago.
Yeah.
And I said, people, I presented them to the company I'm with, and it's helping them, and I think we need to have training programs. It was DAA then, Dallas Apartment Association.
Wow.
And he said, I'd rather if you come work for me. I said, okay, whatever. And he said, I need a training director. So ultimately, I was named the national training and marketing person. And then one day he called me and he said, I have a surprise for you, because I was there 10 years. I have a surprise for you. We're going to make you the assistant vice president of marketing and education. And I said, assistant to who? And he said, well, it's kind of a starter title. And I said, Don, I really appreciate that, but I like my other title better than being an assistant to nobody.
Yeah.
But thank you for calling. Have a nice day. About 30 minutes later, he calls back. He says, okay, you win. I was the first female vice president in the history of Lincoln Property.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Yeah. So I was there 10 years, and I was recruited away for a whole lot more money for a home builder in Dallas that was going to start building multifamily. I was there 13 miserable months.
Oh.
And when that was enough, that's when I decided to start my own company. That was 1981, so I'd been in the business since 68.
Okay.
So
wow.
Here
now,
I am.
81, and were you always comfortable in speaking on stage? And I mean,
yes.
I know as a trainer you have to be comfortable in speaking in front of people,
but people ask me that all the time. But I think what worked for me is, remember, I started with 6 people, and then the group got to be 8 people, and then 18 people, and then 38 people in my own environment with and it just came naturally to me. As you can probably tell, I have a hard time shutting up anyway. So, yak. So.
Yeah, but it's different. Even if you can conversate with people, like I can conversate with people, I am just now getting comfortable, like being on camera, speaking in front of more than 6 people. I remember that horrifying event that I got to be on a panel with you and
at brainstorming.
Brainstorming, oh my gosh, 101 ideas with 30 other panelists, and that was my fright that never got me back on stage. We'll just leave that one out.
I see,
that
you
story.
remember that you did just fine.
Well, yes, but in my mind, I felt like it didn't go as well as I'd like it to. But I should have gotten back up and tried again, and now I know that, but it did not come as easy, even though I love to talk to people.
Sure.
Yeah.
So for any of you who have that fear, by the way, it is the number one fear in any modern times of anything, which means people would rather die than speak before an audience.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay.
Or be live on camera.
On camera.
Yeah.
So the tip is the more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Okay.
The easier it is for you, the more you do it.
Hence why I asked you today.
You bet. You bet.
So what do you like the most about multifamily and what you do?
About the industry overall, and I know a lot of people don't like the word industry, but we've always called it the apartment industry. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, apartment biz.
Yeah, I start thinking about why do they call them apartments when they're all stuck together? You know, how can they be apart?
Well, it's better than a complex.
That's true. We don't use that word anymore.
Yeah, we don't use that word.
I was on the front end of all of that too.
Well, it's really fun. Like, quick story. Whenever I see someone that's new or read their material or hear someone, I feel like a lot of people in our industry do this, that you automatically know that if they use the word complex or tenant, that they're not from the industry or they're new. I always have a little, soft heart for those, because I did not come from the apartment industry. I was the apartment renter, but that I always like nicely tell them, hey, you might take that word complex out, or
so
hey, don't use the word tenant.
And I talk about this every day. I talked about it yesterday in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We don't have tenants, we have residents. We don't have units, we have apartment homes. I mean, when you get off the end of the day, do you say, bye y'all, I'm going out of my unit? No. Right. They don't live in a complex, they live in a community.
Yes.
They're not tenants, they're residents.
Yes.
They're not maintenance men, they're service or maintenance techs. We have to update our industry better. And I've only been talking about this for 15 years, and we're doing somewhat better.
Yeah.
Yes.
A whole lot better. I feel, especially... Well, except for, can you throw in there using from the word vendor to supplier?
Well, sure. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because I like that word a lot. I only correct those that I know well that don't get offended by
Supplier Partners.
There we go. Supplier Partners. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, what do you like the most about it?
I love the responsibility that God has given me to share my wisdom and my experience with people, especially people who are new. But like yesterday, I talked to affordable housing people, and they don't get the new lingo, and they don't use a guest card. I mean, it's like, and by the time the day was over, I was having people come up to me saying, you're giving me a whole new world.
Yeah.
This opens my eyes completely.
Yeah.
So I love the part of sharing. And of course I love the standing ovations. Not like I need it or anything, but I mean, it's just, I just feel really blessed that I can continue sharing my message.
Yes. Well, you definitely...
And I do love the industry.
Yes, and you do touch a lot of people, and I just from being around you all these years, even the times that we got to go do interviews like in January, and how well you were at getting people comfortable on camera and asking them the questions, just like, oh, it's going to be okay, and they're like, okay, Ann, sure, no problem. No worries.
Persuasive.
Yeah, it's easy. So what would you tell someone who wants to get into our industry? What advice or direction would you give them?
We're always looking for the secret ingredient, the secret sauce, to take somebody that doesn't have any experience, doesn't know the industry, or maybe just has lived in an apartment, and how can we make them be a superstar, leasing consultant, manager, et cetera, et cetera. What I look for today when I help interview is emotional intelligence.
Yes.
We've always looked at IQ. Now you got to look at EQ, and that is, are they approachable? Are they friendly?
Are they empathetic?
Are they empathetic without being too empathetic?
Yes.
I'm an empath, and I know that in my case, I have to be really careful because it's like we've been talking about earlier with my grandson. I'm an empath.
Yeah.
I feel for people.
Correct.
And you can overdo that. I mean, that would be the manager that would say, okay, honey, you don't have to pay your rent
Yes.
after all. You know, I know your baby's sick. Go ahead, you know.
Yeah.
You can pay it next time. So
Yeah, that doesn't work.
So, but looking for people who, this is a people business above all others.
Absolutely. Yes.
You know, tire companies say they're in the people business and hotels say they're in the people. Nobody knows until you've worked where your customers live.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's a 24/7 responsibility.
Yes.
And so my biggest message today is be kind.
Yeah.
This is not a time in America today to pour gasoline on an already burning fire.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So if you get smart back with residents that they send you these reviews and they're ugly and and you jump into that, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
We live in a society where people carry guns. Look
Yeah.
at road rage. Look
Yeah.
at road rage today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and I always tell everybody, don't give anybody any of these 3 finger signals when you're driving. None of the 3. Don't
Yeah.
do.
Doesn't
you
matter.
know,
Yeah.
Right. And when you want to move over, get permission on the
Yeah.
freeway. When you want to move over, put your signal light on, give them your intention. As you start to move in, you go, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And then I
Yeah.
wave over my shoulder, thanks.
Yeah.
Because people want to give you permission to get in.
Yeah.
So it's
the same.
using your kindness, using your niceness that we're weak on that.
Yeah, meeting people where they're at and thinking about that everybody has a bad day. So maybe that person, just like, you know, whether it's the leasing person or the property manager or assistant, whoever it is, the maintenance staff, maybe they had, like, everybody has a bad day. So maybe that resident had a bad day, you know, and sometimes they might have a couple of bad days, but you just kind of have to kill them with the kindness. And if it's not for you, then this is my theory when it comes to waiting tables, because that's what I did all through college, is, you know, if it upsets you that much and you're that angry after, you know, your shift, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it anymore. And really it's any job, any career, any position you're in.
But you know, you get so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
When you hear magic words. I'd be upset if that happened to me. I understand. I'd be upset if it happened to me.
Yeah.
I tell the service techs when they come home from work and they unlock the door and they had water up to their ankles because something leaked all day, would you be upset? And they go, yes. I said, then understand that they're upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to be able to walk in people's shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, that's really great advice.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so the one standing question of my podcast, Industry Celebrities, is what advice would you give to your younger self?
Save more money and buy less shoes. Well, that's really true. I would say that to my younger self. You know, I can honestly say I have few, if any, regrets. So what I would say to myself is follow your instinct, trust your gut, have faith, and when something goes away that you thought you valued, you have to know that something better is coming. When you believe that happens for you.
Absolutely.
When I left Lincoln, took the 13-month job, miserable people, bad deal, found out they were doing something crooked, whatever, and I gave my notice not having a clue. And that's, you know, and of course the mind went, what am I going to do? Got to make the house payment, yada, yada, yada. And I said, I'll start my own company. So I look back and I could thank him and that company for being my catapult. It pushed me out of my nest.
Absolutely.
And so I've had my own business since 1981.
Yeah. Because of that leap that you wouldn't have taken if that had not occurred.
That's exactly right.
So that's really great.
You know,
it definitely comes with age, though, that we get more comfortable with
it
that.
Does, but you know, this is one of my mottos. God has better discernment than I do. Shut up and let the world, the universe, take care of you. You know,
and roll with it. Let go and let God.
You got it. You got
Tell listeners how they could connect with you and get a hold of you if they're interested.
Pretty easy. If you can spell Ann Sadovsky, that's the hard part.
It took me a long time to be able to pronounce your last name.
So it's ANNE as an E, and it's SADOVSKY.com.
Okay. And you're all the social media channels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tenant and Sadovsky.com, Facebook, all those. You can find me.
You name
doing
it.
a lot of webinars now for a lot of the different providers.
Yeah.
So you'll find me if you Google my name. I think
Absolutely.
it comes up the Queen of Fair Housing on Google.
As it should.
And whoever wrote that is kind of embarrassing, but I wear a crown when I teach. So just kidding.
Well, a big smile, then the crown just illuminates all by itself.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Oh, well, awesome. I really appreciate you doing this with me today, and we're going to wrap up and thank the listeners and thank everyone that stopped by and said hello to us. And if Ann's advice is you found useful, please, forward it to someone, share it with a friend, because I think that was really great advice that we all, could use.
Good.
Especially, even I always have the 20-year, 30-year advice to myself, 40-year advice, but, I feel like yours can encompass all,
I hope so.
as we move through life in general. So thank you again. I appreciate it.
Welcome. And I love you.
And I love you too. Thank you all, everyone. And until next week, remember, stay positive and sharing is caring. Bye.